One act of obedience rearranged your entire timeline. You didn't know they were watching, but heaven did. You honored what was unseen. Now the unseen honors you. Your kindness became currency in realms you've never visited. You sowed silence. You're reaping movement. The stranger you once passed just purchased your future. You forgave the unforgivable. That was the transaction. You released what broke you. Someone wealthy felt it. A whisper you made in private echoed in a mansion. You kneeled in grief. Now you'll rise in luxury. You stayed pure when no one was watching. God was. You cried without a witness. Now a witness cries for you. They saw your humility and sent a plane ticket. You blessed someone who cursed you. That moment moved heaven. You said yes to the pain. That yes activated your relocation. They read the note you left at the altar. You said no when lust begged for a yes. You chose love when betrayal was easier. Your generosity triggered a stranger's inheritance. You watered someone else's roots. Now they're returning with fruit. You gave without clout. Now influence is coming in disguise. You looked like nothing. You felt like everything. You touched a heart you didn't know you healed. Your prayer traveled farther than you thought. You prayed for them. They're sending for you. You stayed faithful while sinking. Now favor's flying in. You didn't curse the rain. They saw you dance in it. You protected someone's secret. Someone now protects your destiny. You went unseen, but not unfelt. You hugged a stranger. They never forgot. You fed someone who once robbed you. You wrote one sentence that changed a kingdom. You called someone by name when they were forgotten. You forgave the thief. The investor saw it. You worshipped with an empty wallet. You chose peace over proving yourself. You wept for someone else's miracle. You cleaned what wasn't yours. You stitched someone's torn dignity in silence. You returned love for mockery. You asked for nothing, and now everything is being given. You let go when your flesh screamed, "Hold on." You sent a text that stopped a suicide. You showed up when no one thanked you. You gave them your umbrella. They never forgot the rain. You broke the curse in your bloodline. You bent your knees while others raised swords. You didn't retaliate. The mansion gates are opening. You loved past your own heartbreak. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. You held a stranger's grief. They're holding your future. You gave your last coin. You prayed for someone you hated. You packed when you had no clue why. You lit a candle. They saw the flame. You fasted while everyone feasted. You made beauty out of scraps. You stayed when you could have run. You planted seeds into barren ground. You forgave your father in secret. You loved the broken. Now you'll be loved in overflow. You kept giving, even when it broke you. You gave someone a reason to breathe. You lost sleep praying for someone else's healing. You offered truth instead of validation. You hugged the one who betrayed you. You bought bread instead of revenge. You sent a letter that saved someone's mother. You stood in the gap while no one noticed. You believed when belief cost you everything. You handed God your bitterness. You said thank you with tears in your throat. You let them go without begging. You healed in silence while cheering others on. You blessed the house of someone who evicted you. You held your tongue when your pain begged to speak. You gave the last piece of your heart. You waited while others ran. You chose the narrow path. You sacrificed comfort for obedience. You covered their shame in prayer. You delivered food when you had none left. You whispered hope to someone who hated God. You repented when no one demanded it. You poured oil on someone else's dream. You welcomed the unwelcome. You picked up the trash others left behind. You fed the child that wasn't yours. You wept for someone who never knew your name. You played the background so others could shine. You gave up your room to a stranger. You knelt in a storm to pray for another. You visited the sick when your heart was broken. You sent funds you couldn't afford. You honored your mother when she couldn't love you back. You left a toxic job quietly with grace. You told someone their life mattered. You listened when they were ready to die. You gave away the dress you saved for years. You released them and stayed soft. You didn't curse the delay. Someone opened their doors because of it. You offered light to a soul darker than your pain. You spoke life over someone who buried you in silence. You visited the grave of someone who never loved you. You carried faith in your spine. You folded the shirt they threw at you. You blessed them when they married another. You gave peace to a home that rejected you. You held the door open, even after they slammed it on you. You gave grace to someone who made you beg for love. You returned the wallet with every coin inside. You cleaned the floor where someone cursed you. You prayed for rain, then gave your umbrella away. You turned the other cheek, and they turned their life around. You smiled through heartbreak. Someone rich watched and wept. You gave a ride to someone who once left you stranded. You forgave your abuser aloud in a dream. You sowed a secret blessing. It bloomed in their heart. You hid your hunger so a child could eat. You opened your hands. God placed you in someone else's. You shared your healing with the one who hurt you. You danced in your kitchen with grief as your partner. You said no to a shortcut that would have broken your soul. You prayed for your replacement to be loved well. You lent money to someone who stole from you. You didn't record their apology. You lived it. You didn't call them out. You called them in. You gave honor in a place you were dishonored. You refused bitterness and chose blessing. You cried for their healing instead of justice. You anointed their name when you wanted to erase it. You loved behind the scenes. Now you're being moved to center stage. You said thank you to the season that broke you. You broke bread with someone who broke your heart. You released your timeline. Now relocation is arriving early. You stopped chasing and started trusting. You washed the feet of someone who walked away. You praised when you had nothing left but breath. You gave someone the last word and chose peace. You hugged them after they humiliated you. You held hope like it was your last possession. You mended their coat while yours was torn. You showed up even when they forgot your name. You cleaned the table after they walked out. You were the only one who stayed when they had nothing. You looked poverty in the face and still believed. You comforted a soul you once feared. You honored the contract after they broke the covenant. You whispered blessings while they spread lies. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote and subscribe for more.